You're on mute. Are you done? Go Siege.
Oh, okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trophy hunters of all ages. This is the 11th episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast.
Yeehaw!
I'm your host, CJ, aka the Solo Gamer, aka the Trophy Hunter. Tonight, I'm joined as always by the Mr. Clothing Optional himself, Big D, aka the Naked Gamer.
That's me.
And as always, we're joined by the Twitter beef making, hot taking, fucking A Woodsy, aka the Math, aka D.
The long rod sucker.
What? God damn.
We're gonna make it stick.
Okay. Long rod sucker.
He's
All right,
gonna
we'll
make
go
this.
with
All right. So after those hot introductions here, we thank you, the listener, for tuning in to the rarest takes in the gaming podcast sphere. As always, we bring you our own unique takes and everything in the video game world, all while recording and publishing our episodes edit free, which after this intro is a little rough. So, as always, we bring you our podcast via all listening staples every Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever we get around to it. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Anchor. And if any of you out there have any other podcast platform you'd like us on, just let us know, and we will ignore you and keep to those 7 podcast options.
Nah, we gotta go Stitcher. We're going Stitcher.
And we want to do Stitcher because apparently Stitchers do have awards, and we want to win that award.
We're gonna win that. We're gonna win that award. All right.
Sexy
We have right.
podcast.
We'll have the best of the Stitchers, the greatest of the Stitchers, the most wonderful of the Stitchers.
We're easily
The
sexiest
Stitcheriest of the
podcast
Stitches.
that's ever existed.
Right. The most Stitchery.
So, with all that nonsense being said, if you don't want to just listen to us and you want to see us flub our words and have lots of fun, you can always check us out on the Raw Cuts Gaming channel on YouTube. We're live right now. Shout out to Ryan, who's probably watching us because he is our one loyal listener. We love you, Ryan.
Fucking love you, Ryan.
So, this week, we're going to get into the news, including Xbox hands-on, some storage news, and some info on the PlayStation storage options. If we have a little bit of time at the end, we'll get into some Demon's Souls trophy reviews, and Woodsy will tell us what's in his cart right now and what's being added to the pile of shame, and any updates on his latest Nier plays. So, all that being said, we'll first get into what we're playing. Big D, a.k.a. the Naked Gamer. What you been playing, man?
Naked Gamer has a pretty standard update. Fortnite with my boys here. More victory royales. Rocket League, Fall Guys, PUBG, Pants Off, Dance Off. I love all those games. We've been doing pretty good. Woods, Ryan, and I getting pretty good at competitive. So we were up to gold 4?
Competitive Rocket League?
I don't know. I don't think it was that high. I don't recall, but we were gold something or
We
other.
were gold level 4. It was pretty crazy.
Okay.
So we got up there, and our turns out our buddy Dustin's pretty good too. So
Yeah.
we may. I wish they had. They don't have competitive 4-player, and I wish they did. 'Cause
Right.
That would be
I
fun.
kind of do too. It's odd that they don't, though. Why have competitive
That's what I
2 and then not have competitive 4?
Right.
Anyway.
Because it would be. I feel like it'd be way harder to be really, really good.
Right. As a 4-person team?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so nothing crazy. But yeah, that's my update. What's he?
So we have it later in the doc, but what's the PSA for Rocket League for that dropped this week? Dude?
It is now free to play.
Free to play. New season pass, all that other stuff. They didn't unfuck the blueprint thing that they did
No,
last year.
still sucks.
Because they had easily the best system for microtransactions on any game that I'd seen. You would basically just plunk down your $2 or $3 for a cool thing
Right.
like the Ghostbuster car or Back to the Future car or whatever it was. But now they went to this blueprint thing, and it's all incredibly confusing because you have your 3 or 4 color levels, but then you can't trade in all the things that are the same color, even even though they're the same level. They have little restrictions on them, and I don't know, man.
Don't even try to explain it because it makes no goddamn sense.
It doesn't.
It's
Yeah.
confusing,
and I wish
and
they
it's
would undo it.
fucking hella expensive to buy. Just buy anything outright now.
Yep.
Just
So I will
outright.
not be giving them any more money until that's fixed.
Likewise.
Can you still buy like cars and stuff though, or no? Is it
I
just
think you can
blueprints
still buy
now?
the cars.
Can you?
But it's
I
this-
haven't
this-
seen anything for straight up cash.
You'd have to look on the PlayStation Store. I guess I haven't looked through what you could buy in the store for a while, but I believe most of the cars are available for purchase because there's no blueprints for the cars. I think
Okay. Although
there may be
you
now
may need
though.
to
I
buy
don't
it
know.
with the in-game currency too.
Yeah, who knows?
So yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just a PSA for you, any of you out there who haven't picked it up. It was a PlayStation Plus game. If you missed out on that, it was for $20 for a while and then kind of dropped in price, and now it's on all platforms. And I picked it up on Switch, so
I bet it's
added it
on
to my
Switch,
Switch
too.
library. So yeah,
Might be a little easier on Switch too.
yeah, baby.
Because you got the nice tight controls and shit.
Yep.
Smaller screen.
Woodsy, what you been playing?
I have been playing more Gran Turismo Sport. Just still liking just doing the daily races. I gotta say that when I'm like, it's at the final lap and I'm in somewhere in the pole position, or I'm sorry, the podium positioning, rather. It's awesome because it really gets CJ's having a heart attack there. What's going on? It really gets that blood pumping. It reminds me of when you're playing Fortnite back in the day, and it wasn't like I wasn't winning all the time back in the day. And when you get your first couple of battle royales, you're like, oh god, here we go, don't fuck it up, So yeah, loving GT Sport. I've came in second now like 5 or 6 times, and I choked away a first place finish today, and it's kicking me as I still haven't come first. It's tough, man. Those online races are tough. I choked it away though on the final lap on like the second to last turn, so I was not happy with myself. But anyway, still loving that game. Playing a bunch of FIFA again. Obviously, near which we'll talk about in a second. Also, some No Man's Sky after they dropped the most recent update, which was supposed to kind of revamp all of the planets, making them more varied and like having mountain ranges and canyons and volcanoes and lightning storms and this, that, and the other thing. I hop back.
Animals, plants,
right,
everything.
right, and I hopped back in there, and I don't know if it was just like the 2 systems I was in, but one of them was never discovered by anybody. So, but things didn't look like dramatically different to me.
That's what I saw too. I hopped in for 30 seconds. I'm wondering if do you have to like start over?
I don't know. I don't think so. Because I've just like seen screenshots floating around Twitter, and I'm just like, holy shit, where are these guys going to? Because I haven't seen this shit.
Yeah, in my game, I had made it all the way to the Atlas, and I went into one of the other galaxies and shit. So
Right. But hey, I mean, good for the folks over there at Hello Games continuing to support that game. So kudos to them. Loving that. And then, so back to Nier Automata, my pile of shame game. Played that again for the live stream last Thursday, then played a little bit more on the weekend. That game is nuts. I finally got past the points of frustration, thanks in part to CJ. Shout out Trophy Hunter. It was it got kind of exciting again, where the action really picked up, and that's by far and away the best part of this game. The story is crazy as balls. I watched a group of little trash can robots give birth to a Ken doll naked android blonde-haired Thor thingamajig who was leveling up. Then you kill him, and then he births himself from his own stomach. And then he gets transported away into something else. And I take it he's going to be a force to be reckoned with down the road, because that's how most of those games start. But yeah, so that was real fucked up. The game's storyline is bizarre. It is cool. It's like cool bizarre. like kind of like the a Kojima game. Just they're so bizarre. They're nuts. It's like it's not like watching a train wreck in motion because it's not bad. It's just like wow. But it's good. I'm liking it, and I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm gonna keep playing. I'll do another live stream this week, possibly Thursday, and we'll keep it on.
That game does have its highs and lows, like you've seen, the lulls, and the lulls are part of the storytelling. So I would, I keep encouraging to stick through and see it through to the end.
Well, what's really getting me down is like some of the large open areas don't have persistent combat, which kind of sucks, especially considering how drab and empty they all are. That's my biggest gripe.
Well, and like I mentioned, like that is part of the story,
okay.
Running around this world where there's just vast open places, which, you can criticize it if you want. That's definitely a fair criticism, but it's definitely part of the story. And once you kind of get to the end, you kind of understand what they're trying to go for. But those walls do kind of are a little. You're just like, oh god.
Well, I'm gonna stick with it.
That's exciting. That's awesome. Okay, good.
I may not get through all 3 playthroughs or whatever. I'll let you spoil the last 2 storylines for me.
I would recommend just like watching
YouTube.
Watching YouTube if you don't. So for what I've been playing, kind of the same updates as always. I've been playing Fortnite, doing the dailies, kind of what you guys were saying, where I come in and get my 50k XP or so to kind of level up my battle pass. I just unlocked Dr. Doom, so I was pretty stoked about that. Been playing around with him a little bit. Fought Wolverine and got his claws and was raking people with that, so that was kind of cool. Fortnite has their birthday bash going right now, where they got free in-game events where you can go dance in front of birthday cakes or eat birthday cakes and get some free emotes and free shit. So I'm just kind of digitally hoarding that. So a little more Fortnite. Also started Final Fantasy VII Remake. And goddamn, man, that game is beautiful. I would love to see it on a 4K screen with the HDR and everything, and even possibly boosted with the PlayStation 5. But man, even on my base PlayStation 4, on my little 1080 screen, that game looks awesome. Combat's been fun. It's kind of an interesting mix match of turn-based and action. You fight guys, but then you can also you can build up a meter, and then you can do spells and items and all that shit. So I had a little fun with that. Just played through the first 2 chapters. I think there's probably about 20 or so. So I got quite a ways to go on that game. But just positive things to say about that game as well. So
glad you're enjoying that one. I definitely want to play that one too. But I'm not going to get it till it's all finished, because I'm just
oh man, you're going to be waiting a long ass time if you're.
Yeah, I know I am. If it ever even actually happens.
I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty healthy sized game, like maybe about 35 or 40 hours from what I've been seeing. So if you're going to play through that whole game, I've never played the original, but
the original. So the remake is just one small part in the original.
I know, so that's what I'm saying. So if you're waiting for the whole thing to be done, you're going to be playing
Xbox 17.
Yeah, that one PlayStation with the little ball,
right? Yeah. PlayStation 9.
Yeah, PlayStation 9. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I've been playing this week. So let's get into the news. So last week we recorded the day before Microsoft did their pre-orders. Microsoft came out pretty hard on PlayStation, saying, "Hey, we're pre-ordering. They're going to start at 10 a.m. on Tuesday on a specific date." Woodsy, aka the Mav, said, "Hey, PlayStation had its own disasters and problems, but let's pump the brakes on completely slamming them, because some people might have gotten a PlayStation that wouldn't have as long as they were paying attention, and Xbox is going to be no better." Well, fast forward to last week Tuesday, Xbox was no better. All the people had their bots lined up in a row, and
by all accounts, it was worse from what I have heard.
Yeah, because like you were saying, nobody who is a real human being could get one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, so sites were down, sites are crashing. Xbox has thanked everyone for coming out buying it. they saw a record-breaking demand on launch, which could be all the bots buying up all the Xboxes. And Xbox One X also saw a 700%, roughly 700% increase in demand.
Right. And this goes back to people want to be like, oh, it's not a confusing naming convention.
I don't know who.
Oh,
says
really?
That. It's literally only fanboys.
Right. This is the worst naming evolution of an already bad naming convention that existed.
Terrible.
And obviously they have brand confusion because ain't nobody just like all willy-nilly buying an Xbox One X right now.
Right.
Like,
they're gonna have a huge problem with returns.
Yeah, they are. Especially like in people I read, you know, on Twitter or wherever else are all like, well, that's just stupid because you'll just go to the store and ask for the new one. Okay, but new is a relative term. And then what if you're just scrolling through and you're not asking necessarily for the new one? Your kid just says he wants the Xbox. Right. And you're going to go into Target and they're not going to have the Xbox Series X or S, and they have the Xbox One X there, and it's still $300, $400, whatever the fuck it is now. And they're going to buy it. And that's precisely what happened with this pre-order shit show on their end. So it's fucking retarded. Well, silly. We got raw. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry, can't cut that out. I totally agree. And then it's kind of like, well, where do we go from here to? You know, what is the Xbox Series X to look like? You know, for the next generation of consoles, if and when they do want to keep going in the hardware division, who knows? And then everyone who pre-ordered their Xbox One X's, and all of a sudden 2 days later it showed up at their doorstep. I can imagine the outcry. Right. Hey, holy shit, I ordered the wrong one. I ordered 5 of them because I'm a bot.
And I've heard there's other problems too, like Amazon like completely oversold their stock, like, and a whole bunch of people got notified that their pre-order is going to arrive to like December. Same thing happened with PlayStation as well, though, I guess. A whole bunch of people who pre-ordered it have now heard that their pre-order console isn't coming until sometime in December.
Yeah, that was a big one on Amazon. Walmart was straight up declining people. You know, I got mine through Target, and fortunately, I haven't heard anything yet about it being delayed. Other than it, you know, it gave me a little bit of a window of like 3 or 4 days, which I'm fine as long as it comes. But yeah, so which method do you guys think was better, or is there any way to actually do a proper pre-ordering system for these?
Well, to say PlayStation had a method is
one per credit card.
Well, right, yeah, there you go. But to say that PlayStation actually had a method would be false. I mean,
whether it's a method of just all of a sudden just everyone clicking go or setting the time frame is what
I think and you can pre-order now on the live stream, and then everybody who is watching the live stream can hop in and try to start pre-ordering, and all the sites make it go live all at the same time. That way, everybody's got a fair shake.
And I would still do one per email and credit card.
Right.
Yeah, because PlayStation initially came out and said you can only order one, but that was like through their website, you know, and like you mentioned, D, per credit card. You know, once you start seeing that credit card.
But retailers aren't going to be tracking that purchasing information. There's no way to track that whatsoever, because even on your credit card, it's not a completed purchase for a couple of days. It's in pending status. There's no way to know.
Well, then, if I'm Sony, I hold the pre-orders. Then they'll be available in store to buy in person. That's fine.
Okay.
I don't know.
Possibly.
Or you just say, Sony, as I'm Sony, if you want to pre-order, I have these rules. The retailers can do whatever they want with their shit show and have website crashes and bots buy them all. But we're not doing that.
Right. And that'd be fine too. In either case, I think just the random drop, as it would be, is the best way, because then people can't line up for days and set up their bots and all this other bullshit. So,
totally agree. So, also some other news with Xbox is Xbox came out with their proprietary storage news information. We all kind of saw this coming. I think we've alluded to other podcasts, but they finally announced that Seagate external hard drive for Xbox is going to, for 1 terabyte,
Proprietary
is going to cost what,
Yep.
$220.
Just insane.
That's not a surprise to me, but it's just the sticker shock. And so, D, you had kind of alluded to it a little bit last week about some storage options for next gen. I know Xbox has their proprietary options, and PlayStation has come out and said, hey, you can use whatever options you want. Now, that being said, also, you're going to be shelling out quite a bit of money if you want to get in early, because if get a drive that's compatible with the speed expectations and performance that's going to be installed in the PlayStation 5. But what are some of the options that you kind of outlined for us?
Yeah, so I wanted to just kind of dive into trying to expand this thing, like you said, as we discussed earlier, because you're not going to want anything piddly, because even these 1 tera options, it's like, well, what does that get you right now? That gets me, 3 Modern Warfares. Is that really worth my time to dick with all this stuff?
Well, and it also broke this week too that the usable storage space on the 1 terabyte hard drive that comes with the new Series X is like 815 gigs.
Yeah, so that's a super awesome thing.
Yeah.
As we get deeper and bigger and bigger and bigger with these hard drives, the difference between base 2 and base 10 for my fellow nerds out there. That's why in my industry we actually started using the little I in the middle for IBI. So instead of gigabytes, you use gigabytes or tibibytes, which is a more accurate reflection of what the hell the storage actually is.
Right.
Because basically it's marketing terminology for what you see. So the 1 terabyte, right? It's just marketing terms. And when it was 500 megabytes versus 486 or whatever you get, no one really gave a shit.
Right.
Now people are missing like hundreds of gigabytes on their shit. And when you sell people 1 petabyte, 2 petabyte, they're missing a lot of data.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they've actually stopped that shit. But anyway, so I just kind of wanted to get in. This actually kind of envelops another piece of news that dropped this week on Oodle, is a encoding technology that's going to drop only on the PS5 from what I've heard. I haven't seen any news like this for Xbox, but it's basically going to allow them to get 3.1 to 1 compression on files, video files, which is
possibly higher.
Possibly higher, yeah. Documented right now for whatever game they're testing it on. They didn't say. They got 3.16 to 1, which obviously lets it load faster into the GPU, but as Woods and I were talking before the show, more importantly, save space on that 800 gig or 1 tera hard drive that comes in there. So if you want to read about that, there's a
huge amount too, huge amount.
Yeah, on cbloomrants.blogspot.com. So I sent that over to Woodsy, but that thing it's massive, but it really goes in depth and explains that to you. But a lot of this upcoming data I got from Eurogamer, but let's kind of dig into what you can do for storage on your PS5. So right now, your PS4 does about 150 megabytes a second with that internal drive. So that gets you a 50 gigabyte load in about 6 minutes. The PS4 is about double that. But when you use a USB at around 110 megabytes a second, you don't really notice. It's still shitty no matter what.
Right.
So if we compare that to the new PS5 internal speeds that we've seen, so again, it's 5.5 with just the drive uncompressed
raw
files. Yep. So that gets you 50 gig in 10 seconds versus those other speeds, right? And then it's all the way down to 6 compressed, and if this Oodle is a thing that gets widespread, that's going to be about 3 seconds for that same 50 gig transfer, which I kind of cherry picked, but unless you're talking Modern Warfare and some of these other games, 50 is a pretty decent number right now for a bunch of games that I have.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty average. Yeah.
But so that brings us to the first option, right? It's, well, what if I just take this 4 terabyte thing, Western Digital, that I have, and just plug it in my PS4 or PS5. Well, now you're really going to notice that that's not playing your games fast. And I do need to put an asterisk on here. I have not seen a confirmation that they'll even let you put PS5 games on the USB drive. If you put it
No, they cannot. You cannot. For both the new Xbox games and the new PlayStation 5 games, if they're made for the PS5,
yeah,
they cannot be put onto.
motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I think
it's
I
so.
saw that.
Yeah, I didn't see that confirmed.
That was like recently, like today or yesterday or something.
Okay. Well, then I'll skip. I put a RAID thing together, and I saw that they make external USB SSDs. So I guess the only one that would make sense then would be maybe the external USB SSDs, because your USB port on there will still do about 2.5 gigs a second. So if you can get a cheaper SSD to throw in there, or even via a converter that makes it USB, you'll still get about half a gig a second. So that'll be all right. But if we talk about the internal NVMe drives that you can buy right now, those are about $160 a terabyte. But with the new PCIe 4 standard that they're using, which does 7 gigs a second, there are only 1 and 2 tera options. There's nothing bigger than that right now. So you're still looking at probably a 12 to 18 month wait for something bigger to drop, and then it's still going to be probably
Right.
$400-500 for.
But still, because all of a sudden the demand for that technology is about to go through the roof.
Oh yeah, correct.
Right.
And so the benefit, at least for those who purchase a PlayStation versus an Xbox, is because it's not proprietary. A proprietary technology solution on the PlayStation side is you're going to see a fairly drastic increase in storage capacity to price ratio in favor of the consumer come out within the next couple of years. Whereas because, they're again, Xbox is using Seagate proprietary technology, or proprietary expanded storage, those prices aren't going to go down because there's not going to be third-party hardware manufacturers making that shit.
Don't you feel they'd face pressure from the Sony side if I can do 4 and 8 tera for
Right? Maybe. But what's the contract they have with Seagate?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I'm not saying they wouldn't get their premium markup,
Like,
but
could they pivot? In theory,
Yeah,
I guess
don't
it
know
kind of
that it'd
depends
be
on.
double at some point, because they'd face some sort of market pressure to not be that
For sure,
ridiculous.
right.
Right. Well, you never know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's the thing is, throughout video gaming history, from the PlayStation 2 to the OG Xbox to the fucking PS Vita, especially, all these proprietary memory cards or storage
N64,
units and everything.
baby. You guys remember that?
Yeah, it's
I
64.
remember having those
They've-
like
They've
Mad
all
Cats.
been
$50.
insanely expensive. Expensive. So and they never really dropped all that much unless like you got the Mad Cats version, right? Shout out
Right.
Mad Cats, represent 90s kids. Yeah, as long as it stays proprietary and they don't allow for third-party manufacturers like a Mad Cats to make it, it's not going to be cheap, man. It's not going to be cheap. I mean, Sony never let that happen with the Vita, and god damn, it was like, you think right now on Amazon, and granted, it's retired proprietary technology, so it's the costs have gone even higher. But I think for what, like a 32 gigabyte Vita
Memory card.
little memory card, it's people want over $100 for that.
Yeah,
For
I bought
32
one.
gigs. It's
I bought
insane.
one a few years ago, and it wasn't that expensive, but it was still way more expensive than I wanted it to be. And it corrupted on me, and it wiped everything from my Vita like 3 months ago or 4 months ago. So it's not even usable anymore. So it's like, what the fuck?
So my only thing on my wish list would be, I hope eventually they do some sort of performance check on your USB hard drive to determine if you can put the newer games on it or not on the Sony side. That would be a pretty big differentiator for them.
Right.
Because basically, I put together here at about
So
600 megasecond, you could get 16 tera for $800 on a USB RAID array, and if you put some SSDs in there, about $1,200, you can get a gig and a half. But can't do that now that I've done that with you guys.
for $130 at GameStop, you can get a 64 gigabyte Vita memory card.
Nice.
Awesome.
Just fucking insane. Anyway.
So, all right. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Huge
man,
though,
man.
huge though if that compression can save tons of storage space on
Yeah,
the
hopefully
PS5,
they
then
keep
that
doing
drive
more
is
with
even
that.
more valuable.
Yes, I want to see more of that technology come out and see these games shrink down, because that would, in effect, do the same thing. So, if these guys can consistently on these huge games start getting 4 and 5 to 1 on their texture packs, that's going to be a game changer. Especially if it ends up being something locked into one of the manufacturers too.
And you think that we'll start seeing the benefits of that, not right away, obviously, because we saw Demon's Souls come out and say it's going to be whatever 67 some odd gigs, and Miles Morales 50 some odd gigs. So you're thinking that maybe a game built from the ground up for PlayStation 5 might be able to take advantage of that more, or what do you think?
If they're using that OODL, like they have to be using the OODL encoders, right? So
It has to be software developed for it from the ground.
Yeah.
that you're putting on your PC to play stuff. So it's that
Yep,
kind
yep.
of thing. So they have to build it with that in mind, which sounds like it's not a requirement. So it did not mention any specific games that were in there. So we can get into that more later.
Well, yeah. So all the storage stuff being said, Xbox gave a bunch of Xboxes away to a bunch of outlets, including IGN and GameStop and among others. So we did get some hands-on impressions finally. As expected, the system is very quiet, almost inaudible, which is very awesome to hear, because I'm hoping that the PlayStation 5 is the same way also, because I don't know how your guys' PlayStation 5 sound. But
mine's fine. I know for a lot of people it sounds like an airplane jet engine, but mine is quite humming.
You're running a Pro, correct?
A Pro.
The
A lot of
Pro.
people complain about the Pros.
I've heard that too. I had the base, and when I was playing Last of Us Part 2, Miriam's like, "What is that sound?" Because it was just humming away. So that's definitely something I'm looking forward to hearing about the PlayStation 5. But we know that the Xbox is very quiet according to these influencers.
Let's rein it in there, because it's not running a next generation game, and
That's true.
It's not running it on a disc. So we got no fucking idea what it's going to have to be doing when it has to actually use the power it has. So holding reservations.
Fans, that's what gets loud. So I mean, I had to rip apart my PS4 and replace the fan on the inside too, because eventually it drove me up the fucking wall, because it sounded like I had an airport in my house.
Right. And that helped? Replacing the fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It was not very hard. It was probably 10 screws, and you pull that thing apart. I had to replace the Wi-Fi adapter in there right away, too.
Yeah.
Mine kept cutting out, and controllers disconnecting, all sorts of other crazy crap. And so they actually sell one of those big honking early 2000s Wi-Fi antenna to stick out the side of the bastard. It's like it's 6 to 8 inches long. It's insane.
We got to add to it. We got to add to Big D's title, AKA the Naked Gamer, AKA the Raw Cuts IT guy, AKA.
It's happening to mine also, but I'm trying to limp by until November 12th or whatever. But we'll see.
It was like $30. Just buy it.
No, the price isn't of it. It's just a matter of just taking the time to do it. So that being said, the hard drive, we kind of
Raw
alluded to
support
it earlier, but the hard drive on the Xbox is very impressive. The boot up time is about 10 seconds from booting cold, whereas it took about 1 minute from on the Xbox One X. Had to remember which one I was talking about there for a second. Awesome. naming conventions.
Easy naming convention.
Yeah. The loading times of games is speedy, so they gave some examples. Tom Warren from The Verge said he was booting up Destiny 2 and hopping into a planet takes about 30 seconds, whereas in the Xbox One X it takes a minute and 30, and the stock Xbox One takes about 2 minutes.
I'm assuming that means loading the game, getting in and flying to a planet and landing. Is that
Yeah.
what they mean by that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
30 seconds sounds incredibly long.
No, I think it means like booting from it cold to
Got it.
being on a planet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're also saying about how the multi, games running at once is like also a game changer. I did hear one kind of little quirk in it is that I think you can have about 7 games running at once.
Right.
Which is nice for you guys because hopping between a bunch of different games. We're playing Rocket League and then also you hop on Fortnite, then you hop back to whatever game you want to play.
That would be sick because Fortnite takes a fucking minute too.
It does, yeah. And if you could just
does.
Every game does, but Fortnite, like you're right, Dave. Fortnite does take forever. But if you could hop in from going from a match in Rocket League where we get burnt out and all of a sudden, hey, let's hop to Fortnite. All of a sudden, you're hopping in, you're jumping off the bus. Like 15 seconds later.
I'm actually really excited about that because, like, I feel like our group will switch games more because it's like part of it is I don't really feel like loading up that other game.
Exactly right.
It's a bomb ass feature, and I hope PlayStation has something similar, but nobody fucking knows.
But that being said, one of the quirks with it is they don't know exactly how many games you can have running at once, and if you exceed your capacity, like let's say you have 8 games going, all of a sudden it just drops off one of the games without warning.
They'll fix that though.
I'm just telling you, man. I'm just a little PSA in case you're out there missing a save. So
that's true.
this is one of the little quirks they have to work out yet. So, but that is definitely a game changer. And like you guys mentioned, it's going to be a game changer for our kind of group. So hands-on impression sounds awesome, but you kind of hit the nail on the head. Was they're all playing backwards compatible games. And
so with that said, so I watched the Digital Foundry review. And Digital Foundry, for those who don't know, they do a very thorough technical analysis of things. And one of the things that they focused on, was the load times, which were substantially better, but also graphics and performance boosting for games from the previous generation. So your Xbox One games. And they would compare them side by side with the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, and the Xbox Series X. And basically, games that would, still be struggling frame rate wise on the One X, would just be humming along on the Series X. That and there's all this technology that they're apparently, depending upon the game, they're going to be able to potentially down the road up the resolutions from 1440p to 4K, and some other kind of neat tricks that they're talking about the potential for them being able to do down the road. But all the games that they're showing perform massively better on the Series X. Not all are actually consistent with the 60 frames per second, which was a bit of a shocker. Like Hitman, for example, was one of their main games they like to test at Digital Foundry because on the Xbox One X, it has the option to allow basically an unclocked or uncapped frame rate and uncapped graphical textures or something like that. And it didn't struggle per se, but it wasn't that smooth 60 frames per second magic all the way across. It was dipping down to like in the 40s at times, which was odd. That some games are actually still causing this fucking new machine problems, but I shouldn't say problems, but but it was fascinating, and I hope once the reviewers get their hands on the PlayStation 5 that they will have similar things to say when they're plopping in their PlayStation 4 discs or from the store.
Yeah, Digital Foundry always does a good job, so shout out to those guys. Yeah, it's exciting to see that Microsoft is getting the consoles on people's hands. One little nugget I heard today was that this is one of the first times a console manufacturer has gotten their consoles out early. In the past, a lot of times, PlayStation all along will send out review copies, but only send them out like a week before launch or even a few days before launch. Whereas Microsoft, and you kind of keep hitting the nail on the head though, Woodsy, is their marketing teams are doing a much better job than Sony is, and telling you exactly what you'll be getting in the package. Right. So it's kind of reassuring to hear that when it gets in the hands of the Ryan McCaffreys of the world, that it's living up to the billing for the most part. So it's pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, nothing but good news on it for the most part so far, and for those who plan on buying it. And the other good thing I've heard too from what the developers have said about the X versus the S, specifically is that it's basically going to have all the exact same tricks as the X does. The only differentiation is that developers are told to target for the S for 1440p as opposed to 4K for the Series X, which it's going to have all these same other nice visual tricks, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, that's fucking awesome. I gotta say, that's pretty damn impressive. That the only real difference between the Series X and the S is really the resolution cap. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have 4K TVs, but they were the $550 65-inch off-brand special at Walmart, that sort of stuff, and don't necessarily have LG OLEDs and everything. And so they're probably not going to notice a huge difference just because their screens aren't as good, frankly. So yeah.
Yeah, exciting time. So some other exciting news that came out, well, maybe exciting news, but Amazon announced their streaming service. So they're throwing their hat in the ring. They have their streaming service is called Luna, Amazon Luna. It's going to be the cloud-based service. Luna Plus is going to have a subscription.
We're going to the moon!
Luna Plus is going to have a subscription service of $6 a month. And you can buy their Nintendo Switch rip-off controller for $50. The Xbox One, PS4, and keyboard and mouse will work, though, if you want to use those. They also, obviously will be running on, I think he's just mouthing things, running on Amazon Web Services, which is probably the highest performing web service there is. They are coming out at 1080p and 60 frames a second. They said 4K is coming, but they understand that not everyone's with the 4K resolution and wanted to get this 1080p out there. So, and it will have Twitch integration, which Twitch being the biggest streaming platform, it's going to go, you can go right from watching to playing. So what do you guys think about Luna? Are you guys going to be Luna subscribers or any interest in that at all or no?
Am I going to be a lunatic?
I like it.
We haven't had our bad puns in
specializing in dad jokes.
We have a Slack channel for punnies, and we haven't filled that up enough. So
should put that in there. Yawn, I guess.
So what I didn't read was, and I'm sorry if you already went over it or not, but one thing I was curious about. So Stadia's, you have to pay for the service and then also buy the games, right? So it's not a true subscription-based gaming service. Is Luna?
I didn't touch on that, and I purposely didn't touch on that because it's still kind of vague as to what your $6 is if you're getting. Is if it can just play the games, you have to buy them and then stream them or
this
what?
This is definitely a developing story then, because my take will be highly varied depending upon what their business model actually is. If it's Stadia, well, then my take is exactly what it is for Stadia, is that it's wrong. It's never going to work in the long run, and they're going to have to change it because people either want their ownership or they want to have a completely cloud gaming streaming service. Like, there's no real in between for that market. There just isn't. Like,
I really like the game streaming in theory, you know, because if I was an Xbox fanboy, it'd be pretty cool. Because there's a lot of times when I'll go to my folks' house and I'll want to, you know, at night after everyone goes to bed, just hop on and play some PS4 games or whatever.
right.
And I don't want to drudge my PlayStation with me. So it's a really cool concept, but we're just not there, especially in the Midwest.
Well, that's just from the technology end of the thing, right? I'm just purely talking.
No,
about
I understand.
business
I understand.
model.
But
But you're not wrong though either.
I know a lot of
I
times.
could see the market being there if it was awesome, right? Kind of like what you're getting at. Like, if I had to take minimal things with me, and I could just instantly play it, and it was just like being on a hardwire connection to a console, like, wouldn't that be badass? And the answer
I mean,
is
that's what
absolutely
Xbox
yes.
is offering, you know. And from what it sounds like XCloud is, I've heard a lot of people reviewing XCloud on their Android phones and saying, "Hey, I'm on, you know, a pretty stable Wi-Fi and I'm playing Gears multiplayer, and it's awesome." So, I mean, Xbox is getting close, and I think Xbox is going to kind of kill off Stadia, which I think Stadia might just be dying on its own because, you know, who knows what games are on there right now, even, and who's actually playing Stadia. But
Yeah, but isn't that a completely different experience though? So if I'm doing XCloud on my phone, is that game still on your phone?
no, I think it's streaming. It's XCloud, so it's streaming for the Game Pass. If you have to get the
Yeah.
Game Pass app, that was the
Right.
whole war Apple's having right now with
But you own the games.
Sure.
or no
Well,
or
they're-
Game Pass.
Right.
Does the Game Pass app load any part of that game on your phone?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's all
100%
streaming.
playing it over streaming.
You're playing
Playing over
100%
streaming.
over streaming.
Yeah, so you're not down.
No. That's wrong. Because I don't think. Oh God! Now we gotta check ourselves before we riggedy wreck ourselves. But I'm pretty sure you. I'm not sure if you can stream Game Pass games. I think you have. I think you have to download them locally.
See, and that's what my assumption is as well, because they call that streaming because just like everything,
Well, the game is not on the server somewhere. It's on your
they've redefined what that is, and they're trying to make it so that I can just provide you the licenses for these games and or a package of games that I determine what they are monthly. And in my world, that means that it's what you guys were under the assumption was. There's no actual data impact to my phone or device, and I can play this game as if it were local on my device, because that is literally the crux of why these things are goofy. It's because if you try to go across the internet to a virtual PC and then come back with the display so that you can input something and then that has to go back across to a data center somewhere, that
Right.
is always and always going to be a physics problem. That data needs to travel umpteen hundred miles in under a millisecond. Like
from the website, from the Xbox Game Pass website, with Xbox Game Pass Unlimited, download and play games directly on your Xbox console or Windows 10 PC, or play games on your Android mobile phone or tablet from the cloud with the Xbox Game Pass mobile app.
Right.
Which
so they maybe have even obfuscated that you're installing this game for you, so you don't have 100 icons on your mobile device. You just have your Game Pass icon.
right.
But it's still, I'm under the impression that you have local files. Like,
I mean,
if it's
with
not
what
everything-
Wizzy said there, it's still not 100% clear to me that it's. I guess.
No, those games are downloaded to your console first, and then you are able to stream them to your phone.
So you have to download them to your console.
Yeah. You can't stream the games directly through Games Pass from the sounds of it.
Mobile?
We'll dig into this next week.
Okay.
We don't need to grind ourselves down to a pulp here. So I'm not too excited for Amazon Luna. Amazon's put out a bunch of shitty things in the past that have gone out to die, and
That's all you can
you know, shoot or shoot. So yeah, Luna's coming out. So, and one last little story I want to touch on here is it ties into Amazon and Twitch. Is a guy named GP Hustler broke the record for continuous Twitch stream. Right now, he's at 1,000 hours straight and going. Like
Is he
I mean,
sleeping and
it's
shit?
I hope he's made good
sleep-
money.
He's sleeping. He's running errands. He's doing all this shit, but he's I mean, he's still alive technically.
Oh.
So
he just keeps
I mean,
the
it's
camera
not
on
like
and
he's
it's
just
on the
playing
Truman
video
Show
games.
thing.
I mean, basically, yeah. So he's just letting his shit run live. But man, I know how you guys are after streaming Twitch. You know, and you guys are actually playing games, but just being live on camera for a couple hours and just
Yeah.
Woodsy always does a pretty good job talking. So this is also kind of my way of pimping our Twitch channel.
Thank you.
Rockcliff Gaming and Twitch. You do a good job in talking and interacting with the chat, which is usually just me. But you know,
I wonder
that
what
kind of
this
energy
dude's
takes
internet
out of
bill
you,
is like. That's 42 days straight of streaming.
Yeah, it is.
Continuously.
I
Round the
was
clock.
wondering the exact same thing,
How
but
has he avoided banging? Because I would have definitely banged at least.
I'm guessing if
15 to 20
he's streaming,
times by then.
I'm guessing if he's streaming that long, he's not
Hey.
So yeah, so that's kind of all everything I have for the news.
You're
So,
you're the Twitch beef bacon guy over here.
Yeah, you're making beef too.
all right. So that being said, I think I'm going to save Demon Souls for next week, and we'll kind of wrap the show here. But I do want to get into Woodsy's pile of shame. Woodsy, what is in your cart right now, man? What are you looking to add to your
Well,
pile of shame?
I am happy to report that there is nothing in my cart right now because I just bought it all. Woohoo! So I have purchased Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen for now the third time, possibly the fourth.
Mario
I
levels.
own the original, and then I bought Dark Arisen as well, thinking one was an actual sequel to the other. On physical disc for my PS3, then realized nope, Arisen is just a complete version of the original. So I gave that extra copy to, I believe, my cousin. And then I'm pretty sure I bought the digital version on PS3 when it came out, and now I just bought Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, the remaster. And if you haven't played that game, play that game because it's fucking dope, and it's on sale right now on Tuesday, of which we're talking just for the next couple hours. So.
How much have you played these 14 copies of this game?
I actually almost. I think I was near the end on the one, and
Almost
then
played the first one.
yeah, I almost played.
That's one of the other things. What else?
I saw it the
What
one
else
day
you
and I thought
purchased?
I bought Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package. I've been wanting to own that game. I own all the Dead Rising games and love them. Frank's Big Package I hadn't purchased because it was always like $20 was the cheapest I saw it, but today, at least right now, for the next hour or so, it's 10.
You really wanted Frank's Big Package, huh?
I do.
Always does.
Really, 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 really do. And then I bought this game called Goner, which really kind of looks like it's like an interesting platformer. Like it's almost like the visual style is hard to describe. It's really, really cool. It's GONNER. But the visual style is really, really cool. But it looks like it's like a combination between what's that princess game, or what's the no no CJ, the shooter that you played. That's not a princess. It's not princess. It's in the vein of Super Meat Boy. You platinumed it. It's got a bunch of levels that have like an A side and a B side.
Celeste.
Celeste, yeah. So it looks like a combination between Celeste and Super Meat Boy, and it was like 99 cents. So I picked that up. It was like 95% off or whatever. So that's a good deal. And then on the advice of Ryan, shout out Ryan.
Buddy.
We all bought, and I think CJ, you got to buy it if you haven't yet. But we decided to buy Warhammer Vermintide 2. So looks like a sweet ass game. So pick that up. And I watched actually this just random YouTube video that came across my YouTube today about like the top 10 most underrated single player or multiplayer games for the current gen, and this was like on everybody's list as one of them. And some people it's like near the top. And then another one that was on there that next time it goes on sale that I'm going to buy, and I had to buy Pile of Shame, Risk of Rain 2. So whenever that drops in price or goes on sale, I should say, I'll be picking that up. But for right now, those are the four that have now stacked.
Not
Top
too much.
The Pile of Shame.
Not too much damage this week.
Coming to a poll near you.
Coming to a poll near you.
Frank's big poll.
Yeah, well, actually, I should do these 4 games. That's what we should. No, but one that will be coming to as well, which for our fans out there, all 0 of you, we will be live streaming with probably Ryan. We're going to do a big event for Star Wars Battle, the Star Wars ship battle game. What's it called?
Squadrons.
That one.
Star Wars
I'm
Squadrons.
gonna hook my VR back up for that.
Nice.
Ooh, are you guys all going in VR for that?
Yeah, it uses the HOTAS flight stick too, so it's gonna be super dope. So I can't wait to play that game.
When does that drop?
I think next weekend, I believe, is when it comes out. So
Shit.
yeah, it's
Awesome.
popping off soon. It's crazy, man. It's gonna be October. All of the new shit is gonna be coming out in including the new consoles in 45 days. It's nuts.
Good time for gaming. I think Yakuza 7 is coming out soon too, which also shout out to Yakuza. They're giving you the free upgrade to the next generation of consoles when that is available. So
Cheers, Yakuza.
okay, so that does it for this week in the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. Thank you for listener for putting up with my ramblings, Big D's storage stories, and Woodsy's pile o' shame.
And one quick interjection. We are recording this tonight during the presidential debate. Go register. Make sure you get out, rock that vote. Register your ass. Go do it.
Go vote.
Go vote. Yes, totally agree. And make sure you're registered to vote, because if you show up on election day and you're not registered, you are shit out of luck, friend.
Yeah,
So
deadline for absentee ballots is like a month away yet. Just
get
saying.
that shit taken care of.
Get her done.
Yep. So if you want to be part of the conversation or tell us how much you hate
Hey,
us, we definitely encourage you to reach out to us. The best place to get a hold of us is at Rockets Gaming. If you want to see us, you can check out the YouTube channel like I pimped earlier, or you can send us an email at rocketsgaming@gmail.com. Nope. Right now we're just getting notifications of Twitch streams. So send us an email. We may read it online and give you a shout out in the episode. Because they're really trying to.
We're actually gonna have to start a Patreon so the Naked Gamer, when he gets starts tripping, people can toss him digital singles.
You guys send in some porn. Yeah,
It's going to be only D.
I'm not about
Only
that.
D.
Of course, only me. I'm the good-looking one now.
Only fans, D.
The good-looking one now.
So, D, if people want to get a hold of you, where's the best place to do so?
At Naked Gamer 84 on the Twitters with the bird icon, and at noob with the _Naked Gamer on the Twitches.
Woodsy, if people want to see your hot takes, your Twitter beef makes, where's the best place to get a hold of you?
Woods_wads, Woods_wads with a Z.
We now
Sorry.
know Woods' burner account.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a hold of me, your resident trophy hunting host, you can find me on Twitter at CJ Rindall. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, man.
Bye everyone.